Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Trapjaw from Mattel. That's right, this is the second figure in the Club Grayskull, or the Filmation subscription, which has action figures of characters as they appeared in the classic Filmation cartoon series. So He-Man was our first figure in the lineup. We're going to take a look at that second figure, being Trapjaw. As you can see, he comes in that same style new box packaging that we first saw with He-Man. It's got a really great design that has a depiction of Castle Grayskull that wraps all the way around the front of the box there. You can see it kind of wraps onto the top of the box, which is really neat. The eyes and the nose on the top are windows that look down into the box at the figure. The rest of it just looks great. It's got a great tone to it. Really feels like that classic cartoon series. Love that crest right there on the jaw bridge. Very, very neat. And if you rotate the box around to the backside, we have the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe logo with a really neat spacey theme. So, just like we saw with He-Man, there is no more mailer box with these. These come straight out of the shipping package, just like this, which means there's always potential for some dings, unfortunately. But it looks like my box came out pretty good. I don't really have any bad dings or scrapes or bumps or bruises or anything like that on my box. It actually looks pretty good. So we got a slip cover here that slides right off of the top of the box, which fully reveals our figure within. This is pretty neat. The Castle Grayskull motif continues on that inner box, but now the jaw bridge is open, which reveals a cool little window that showcases our Trapjaw action figure within. So pretty sweet there. Really cool, new, unique look for this Filmation lineup. The Trapjaw nameplate is down here at the bottom. And if we spin this box around to the backside, we've got a cool animated look at Trapjaw standing in front of Snake Mountain in the background. So that's pretty cool. I mentioned in the He-Man review that I didn't know if the back of the boxes were all going to have the same He-Man image. Turns out not. Looks like we're going to get images of the character that is within the box, which is pretty cool. The little description at the bottom is the same as what we saw on the He-Man box. Based on the successful Mattel toy line, the animated He-Man and the Masters of the Universe debuted in 1983 and immediately delighted young fans with unique storylines and interpretations of characters that until then had existed only in plastic. So, cool little description that lets you know how Mattel is paying homage to that awesome TV series with this brand new toy line. So, really great box. I love the new packaging of these, but, of course, we're going to rip this Trapjaw figure out of the box and take a closer look at him. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our Trapjaw figure now that we've got him opened up from the packaging. So, just like we saw with He-Man, he has a much more simplistic design this time around. This, of course, is because he is trying to capture the look of the character as he appeared in that cartoon series. And I gotta say, it works really well. If you look at this guy, out of the box, he looks just like our cartoon counterpart Trapjaw, which is really, really great. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the details on this guy and work our way through the figure here. We'll go ahead and start with the head sculpt. This time around, it is a different head sculpt, so it's brand new. It's meant more to resemble that animated look, and we'll really get a good comparison later on when we pull up the classics Trapjaw and stand them side by side. But really great shape to the overall head there. It's a little thinner than what we saw before, with a little bit more of a blocky jawline and everything going on. You got a bright green face with the black bushy eyebrows. Kind of got those bug eyes going on there. The paint deco on the face is pretty great for the most part. I saw a few folks online posting pictures of their Trapjaws, showing that some of them had some really wonky eyes going on there. Mine, as you can see, are a little crooked. We got a little bit of the wonky eyes going on there, with the left eye being a little bit lower than the right eye. It is not too bad on mine. In fact, it's almost not noticeable unless you're up close and really looking at it. But I've seen some that have been a bit more derpy than this. So that's a bit unfortunate. I wish they were just a little bit straighter, but otherwise, pretty great likeness all the way around. Now, he does have an articulated jaw, so you can open the mouth up just like on our other Trapjaw. However, this time around, you'll see it's just a smooth black paint deco underneath the jaw there, so nothing inside the mouth. That, again, is to be more like the cartoon series. So, pretty great head sculpt overall. Now, as we move down and look at the rest of the body there, he does just have kind of a solid blue color on the torso. You will notice there's a little bit of shading on there, though, so that's pretty nice. For the most part, the colors are very flat on the Filmation figures. Not a lot of extra shading or deco going on because, again, we're trying to capture that animated look. So they're very smooth, very brightly colored, but you'll notice that they did work in a bit of shading on the body there, and that's pretty nice. It actually does bring out the muscle definition pretty good. The green belt this time around is very smooth. There's no additional details on there. Same with the wrist bracer. And then over here on the right side, you can see we got the black portion over his right pec, which kind of leads into his signature arm attachments. It's a new sculpt here. It's very smooth in detail. It's in a red color, just like his helmet to match. There's also no elbow articulation in this like we saw with our Classics Trapjaw. Now, he comes out of the box with the blaster cannon attached, and we're going to take a closer look at the arm attachments in just a bit. As you come down and look at the rest of the figure here, he does have that new style kind of animated loincloth, so the fur detail's not quite as detailed as what we saw with Classics, but still looks pretty good. And then we got those Trapjaw legs, but guess what? They're new this time. We've seen those Trapjaw thighs reused all throughout the Classics line, but these are different than what we saw. They do still have that same kind of similar design up here in the front because he had that in the cartoon series, but it is a little thinner and it's a lot more smooth in details going on here. And then same with the legs there, great shin guards and everything, and that brings you down to the solid black feet. Now, for the most part, I want to say that the figure is very clean, but looking him over, I did notice quite a few little paint mishaps, unfortunately. There's some weird smudges seen on the thigh, seen on his back, just a lot of little spots where it's not as clean as I'd like it to be. It's a little messy, so could be just a minor incidents with mine, and really it doesn't take away from the overall look of the figure. It's just little bitty splotches that I noticed while looking over the figure there. Alright, so overall sculpt is pretty great. Love that deco. It does a great job of mimicking the look of the character from the animated series. So let's talk articulation. Trapjaw is very basic if you're familiar with the Masters of the Universe Classics line. That head's on a ball joint, so it can look left and right, it can roll all the way around, and of course it retains the ability to be popped off of the ball joint there. So you can easily pop that on and off. It's a nice solid hold. We do have a ball joint at the shoulder there. The left shoulder is very standard. Up, down, forwards, and backwards movement. Got swivels at the bicep, standard elbow joint, and a swivel at the wrist, as well as the new hinge joints on the wrist, which is very nice. The other arm is slightly different. We do still have the ball joint at the shoulder there, but you can see, obviously, the sculpt of it is going to hinder that motion just a bit, and then we can move the arm forwards and backwards. There's no other articulation up here on the shoulder, but where the elbow would be, or where the attachments plug in, we do have a swivel. As I already mentioned, no elbow bend this time around, so it's a lot more basic, but his arm was shorter in the Filmation series, so that's why it is that way on this figure here. We do have the standard torso bend as well as a waist swivel. The belt piece, you'll notice, is a separate piece. It looks like it could be removed, but I think they glued it on. It doesn't look like it's coming off at all. As you can see, you can actually see the shine of the glue there. So you could probably work that loose if you really wanted to take it off. But it is a separate piece. Doesn't hinder the articulation there. We do have the nice ball-like joints at the thighs, so legs can go outwards, forwards, backwards, great range of motion, swivels at the thigh cut. We do have a nice standard joint at the knees, which are pretty good because they're hidden behind the cool knee guards there, which is pretty nice. And then that brings us down to the ankles. It does appear these are the same new ankles we got with He-Man, but because of the design of Trapjaw's shin guards, it actually hides it really well, so it doesn't look as strange as it did with He-Man's boots. And this allows you to move the ankles side to side with nice rockers, as well as move forwards and backwards. So, great range of motion there. All the articulation is very sturdy on this guy, which should allow you to get some pretty nice poses. Alright, so let's bring it back to the accessories. Trapjaw includes 3 arm attachments. We get the blaster cannon, we get the cool little laser bow, and we get the fly swatter, which is one of those great kind of comedy gags that we saw in the Filmation cartoon series. And it's great, because even with the original Masters of the Universe Classics Trapjaw, everybody always wanted a fly swatter attachment. So we've got one with our Filmation one here, which fits in great. They're all that kind of maroon reddish color to match the arm attachment instead of being black like we saw before. But it functions exactly the same as what we saw before. You can easily pop those right out of socket there, and it works very well. It holds very tight. Now, I will say that the plastic used on these is a little pliable. It's not super gummy, but as you can see, it can be bent around. So while you're attaching the accessories, you definitely want to be careful on where you're holding it, because you can see if you're holding the barrel of the cannon, that's going to flex it around. You might risk getting stress marks on there, so definitely hold on to the more solid pieces when you plug it in, and you might have to straighten out the parts just a bit. But we can easily plug in that arm cannon. You got plug in your cool little like laser crossbow, get some great poses there with that. Love that attachment. That's a really great one. And then of course that fly swatter, which is just a lot of fun. Really, really cool accessories. It is also worth noting that the attachments are the same peg as what we saw with our Classics version of Trapjaw, so you can plug those in, you can mix and match them if you want to. It is worth noting, though, that since we don't have the elbow bend, if you attach the smaller pieces like the hook here, you'll notice it's a bit on the short side. Alright guys, it's comparison time. Here is a look at the new Filmation style Trapjaw standing alongside our Masters of the Universe Classics Trapjaw, which really shows you the difference between the two. The Trapjaw in the Classics line is still one of my favorites and most well-detailed figures, so you can really see how overly detailed he is in comparison to that Filmation version. So there you go, my friends. There is a look at the brand new Filmation-style Trapjaw, part of the new Club Grayskull from Matty Collector. Overall, it's a really great figure and another solid entry into the line. Trapjaw had a different enough of a look that I think warranted a really cool Filmation-style figure. And overall, I feel like it's a very solid figure. The articulation is nice and tight. It functions well. The overall sculpt is very good, with a pretty great paint job, with the exception of those few paint blemishes and the eyes. The eyes could be a little bit better, but otherwise I think he's a really fun figure. He's great to pose around, looks really nice with that Filmation He-Man, and if you're a fan of that cartoon series, I would definitely recommend tracking this guy down and adding him to your collection. Now, this was part of that subscription, and he did sell out when he went on sale on MattyCollector.com, so if you missed out on him, you're going to have to wait to see if maybe they possibly reissue this figure, or you're going to have to find alternate means of tracking him down. So happy hunting, my friends! And hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss out on any of my Masters of the Universe reviews. Until next time, my friends.